Hello everybody, it's Morgan and I am here to show you a little tutorial about how to create your embroidery piece from our embroidery hoop activity kit. So you will get everything you need in this kit. We only have a limited supply, so I am sorry if you miss out, but embroidery supplies are fairly cheap if you wanted to go to a craft store and get your own. You can still follow along with this video, and this pattern that you'll be doing is actually a free pattern. So we'll be stitching this cat, and you can find it on the DMC website, and DMC are the people who make the embroidery floss, and they make hoops, and they're the big name. So they have a website full of free patterns. So if you want to stitch this or stitch another free pattern, you can find a lot in their online library. So here is what we'll be doing. I have started stitching, so I'm going to show you how to hoop your fabric and how to trace. So I made this very tight. What you'll be doing is you'll get a hoop, fabric, a needle, the pattern, and embroidery floss. So you are going to take this part of the hoop, not the part with the screw, this part, and lay on here. Now I am going to do it reverse because I want to show you how I traced. So I'm just going to put it back the way it was, but you are obviously at the end going to want to flip it so that your cat is facing front. So you've got this, you're going to place it over, and you are going to start tightening. But as you start tightening this screw, you want to make sure that you're getting the fabric as tight as possible in your hoop, because that makes it infinitely easier to stitch. So I can see my hoop is not tight enough, my fabric isn't tight enough. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to pull. Okay, I think I might be good. And the way you can test to see if your embroidery is tight enough, or your fabric is tight enough in your hoop, is to tap. So I actually think I can make this a little tighter. This is a fiddly bit, but you'll thank yourself while you're stitching for doing this. So there we go. That's what it should sound like. Okay, so your next step, I've already done this part, but your next step will be to trace your pattern with a pencil. So all you're going to do is lay your fabric in your hoop on top of your pattern, and you're going to trace it. So take a pencil and trace. I'll just darken some of my lines. And that is it. So you'll keep going and you'll do the whole thing until you're done. I've already done it. It won't be perfect, and that is fine. If you get super into embroidery, you can actually get markers that wash away with water, or marker pens that erase with heat. So you can't really get rid of the pencil as much. If you erase it, it'll smudge. So try and be careful. But you can get those markers if you get really into embroidery. So I will show you the next step, which is separating out your embroidery floss. Now I've already done this partially, but you're going to get pink and you're going to get gray. And the way that embroidery floss works is that it actually comes with 6 strands. I've already removed 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to separate out. So we only want 2 strands. I've got 4 left on here. So I am going to separate these out. And I'm going to follow along with my finger to stop it from knotting. I'm going to keep going because I made a really long cut of my floss here. And there we go. I've got 2 strands separated out. Your next step, once you've done this, is to thread your needle, and I will show you how to do that. I'm going to use this part that I was already doing. Okay, And what you need to do is, you might need a parent's help with this because the edge of the needle is sharp, is you're going to put the thread into the, trying to get it to focus, into the eye of the needle, which is that little opening there. And you're going to take your 2 strands. You are going to actually wet the edge of the floss with your mouth so it gets it easier, gets the floss a little easier to get through. There we go. Okay. See, I've been stitching for years. Sometimes it's just fiddly, so it might take you a moment. You're going to pull it through so that there's a nice little tail here hanging out. And then you're going to knot at the other end, so your thread doesn't just slip all the way through the fabric while you're stitching. I'm going to double knot just in case. And if you want, you can cut off that little edge right there, but I'm not going to worry about it. So the stitch that we will be doing the most is called the back stitch. And it's called a back stitch because you actually kind of go backwards to stitch it. So I'm going to come up from below. I'm going to find where I want to start. And I'm going to come up. And then I'm going to go down about a rice grain length away. So that far. And then here is why it's called a back stitch. I'm actually going to go away from it, from where I just stitched, and then go backwards. Because if I came up here, I'd just undo the stitch that I did. So up and then back. Up and then back. Up and back. Okay, so I have finished outlining the inside of the ear, and for most of this piece I am going to just use that back stitch, that up and down, up and down, up and down. And what I have planned is that the inside of the ears will be pink, and I am going to fill in these, but I'm not going to fill in everything else. The cheeks I'm just going to outline in the pink, and then the nose I'll outline and fill in. So I'm not going to fill in the cheeks, but I will fill in the nose and the inside of the ears. And everything else I'm going to use the gray thread for, and I'm just going to do that back stitch all around to outline. So the cat's head, the outside of the ears, that little paw, this little part of the mouth, nose area, and here, and then if you want to add those whiskers, I'm going to use gray for that too. Now I will show you this stitch. It's super easy, and it's called satin stitch because if you can see, it's kind of shiny, kind of satiny, and I won't fill in the entire ear right now, but I am going to show you what it looks like. So you're just going to start in the middle, go up, go to the top, and then go down, and you're just going to keep doing that. So I'm going to go right next to that stitch that I made, and I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go down. And I'm going to do that to fill this entire ear and the nose. Up and then down. Okay, so that is that. I will show you how to finish off. So let's pretend I was done, I was out of thread, or I just needed to change colors, or maybe I was done here and I needed to move to start the nose. To make it stay clean like the way this is right now, what I do is I tuck it under a stitch nearby just for a little extra security that my stitches won't come undone. And then I'm gonna make a knot. So I'm gonna make a loop and then stick my needle through it Keep it nice and tight. And then you should try and use smaller scissors than these, but this is what I had on hand. I'm going to make a cut, and there we go. So when you are done stitching your cat, you're going to take the fabric out and flip it so that your cat is looking at you from this direction. I hope that this was helpful in getting you started on your embroidery activity kit. I would love to see pictures of your final product, and I just think that would be so much fun. And I'm gonna finish mine, and I will have that available to show you guys. So please send us your pictures of your finished embroidery kits. You can send them to us on Facebook or on our Instagram. Happy stitching!